Today we're flying one of my favorite first-class airlines, Japan Airlines from Tokyo to Los Angeles.
It's gonna be about 10 hours over to LA.
I'll be sharing with you the best parts of this experience, from the first-class lounge to the luxurious cabin and seat.
Now, one of the best things about flying Japan Airlines first class,
and of course the world-class food and drink on this flight.
Looks like there's some bad news.
Our journey begins here in the Japan Airlines first class lounge in Tokyo Haneda Airport, where there's an a la carte menu that you can order from, including sushi, curry rice, and noodles. It's a spacious and quiet lounge with relatively few passengers at the time of my visit. There's sweeping views of the airport tarmac, and there's even a cool aviation-themed room with a few self-serve bottles of champagne.
Japan Airlines first class, always an exciting flight. It's about time to board now, so let's pop over to the gate. All right, we're fully on board now, and cheers to a great flight. It's gonna be orange juice instead of champagne right now, because they're only serving the cheaper De La Motte champagne before takeoff, but later on it's gonna be more expensive, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Upon boarding and entering the first class cabin, I took up residence in seat 1A right by the windows. Now, Japan Airlines has a fairly old school and traditional first class design, with a wooden seat console stretching along the entire length of the suite and elegant brown leather on the seat itself. It's a fairly wide seat and there's lots of personal room to move around in, but do keep in mind that compared to other first class airlines these days, this one does lack a little bit of privacy. There's two sets of seat controls right by your fingertips, one that's more simple and one that's more comprehensive, and also located here is the entertainment controller under the flap. There's a small storage unit at the end of the seat that comes with a charger as well, and there's a much larger storage unit near the base of your seat. The entertainment screen is directly in front of you, and you can also reach out to grab this handle underneath this surface and slide it all the way towards you to serve as the tray table.
Because of the way that the seat is set up, your partner can actually join you at your seat for some drinks and some food.
And with that, we took off into the Tokyo afternoon, just as the sun was setting and I was transfixed by the beautiful views.
We've now taken off. It's gonna be about 10 hours over to LA, and soon we're about to start the meal service. But before that, time to get a drink.
Now, Japan Airlines first class is well known for its impressive beverage menu, and if you're flying out of Tokyo, then your flight will be loaded with some of the most expensive champagne you can find anywhere in the sky. That's of course Salon Champagne 2007, which these days typically goes for around $1,000 US, and right on cue, the crew broke out the first of many bottles of Salon for that evening. And on this flight, it was naturally our drink of choice.
So for dinner, I've obviously ordered the Japanese menu. It's always my favorite when flying Japanese airlines. But Jessie's gone for the Western option because we've been in Japan for the past 2 weeks and she's a little bit sick of Japanese food, if that's even possible. So we'll be sharing the two different menus. But the good thing is I'll also get to try a bit of the Western food, and I'll let you know how it is.
The Japanese dinner would begin with what's known as the seasonal 5-color delicacies. Everything from deep-fried conger eel to seared ise lobster to Spanish mackerel with truffle sauce. The lobster was definitely the highlight, and the Spanish mackerel was also a nice Western-inspired touch. Decadent, rich, and delightful. Now, over on the Western side, dinner would begin with a sea urchin couscous, which was a very inventive fusion dish that we also really enjoyed. Next up on the Western menu, it was marinated Sakhalin surf clam and vegetables, which was not quite as outstanding. On the other hand, the next soup dish in the Japanese menu was a masterpiece.
Now, let me just show you what's inside this soup. You've got a big piece of egg, but within the egg, there's little pieces of snow crab built into the egg itself. Tastes delicious, and the soup itself is really good too.
Western main dish, lobster and mushroom fricassee. Delicious, a bit on the salty side, but the flavors were strong and memorable.
So this is seared blowfish and boiled blowfish skin with ponzu sauce and grated white radish. And over here we've got tofu skin topped with caviar and thickened broth jelly. My favorite thing about Japan Airlines first class is how elaborate the food dishes are. So I can't wait to give this a try and see how it tastes. By the way guys, if you're wondering how I actually paid for this flight on Japan Airlines first class, how I managed to find myself living it up in such decadence with $1,000 a bottle of champagne, make sure to stick around to the end of the video. I'll share with you how I actually booked and how I actually paid a fraction of the price of the champagne for the entire flight.
We weren't going to stop there. We tried the Wagyu beef fillet on the Western menu next, which was tender and came with a delicious red wine sauce. And from there, it was time for the main spectacle of the Japanese menu.
It's time for the main dish now, and this is looking pretty special because it's the first time I've ever had salmon roe on rice on a plane. There's a first time for everything. Let's see what it tastes like. Just like what you get on the ground in Tokyo.
And finally, we concluded with dessert. On the Japanese side, the persimmon yokan was a bit average, and the sherbet with rum jelly was a bit better but still a mishmash of flavors. The Western desserts were outstanding. The chestnut macaron had a nice texture, and the coffee granite, wow, so creative and so superb.
Looks like there's some bad news. On this first class flight, we of course have a first world problem. After this glass, the Salon champagne is all out, and there's no more bottles of Salon here on this flight. Now, I do feel like they should have stocked way more bottles. I'm sure it's a popular choice, but the good news is, after Salon, there's also another really good bottle of champagne too, by Tétanger. Now, you guys are always asking me, Ricky, how do you actually eat so much food on the plane? Well, I don't know if you guys can see, but this is how. Super full. It really was a huge meal, but that's what Japan Airlines first class calls for, and now I think it's time to change into something a little bit more comfortable. We've got our pajamas on now, decent fit, stylish color too, pretty comfortable. And taking a look at the bathroom over here, I do like these jet black walls that Japan Airlines has got in the first class restrooms. Obviously Japanese style toilet over here with the bidet function. And what I like the most, there's not one, but two different benches that you can fold downwards right into place so that you have some place to stand on and to put your stuff while changing into your pajamas. And I think I'm just gonna chill out at my seat a little bit, and then soon it's gonna be time for bed. Okay, so I've stayed up and gotten some work done, but there isn't really that much more time on this flight left. I make it about maybe 3 hours left, so it's really important that we start eating our way through the snack menu and then have the pre-arrival meal too. Let's take a look here at what we've got on the snack menu to nibble away at. Alright, if you've been watching these videos for a while now, you'll know that whenever there's a snack menu on a Japanese airline, I'm always looking to try the noodle dish, the udon, the ramen, the soba, whatever it is. On this particular snack menu, turns out there's no noodle dish, but they do have cup noodles on board. You gotta do the cup noodles. Still gotta do it. Now this is about as unorthodox as it gets. We've got cup noodles, we've got a chicken karaage rice bowl, and we've got premium fancy tea served in a champagne glass. So, I mean, it's Japan Airlines first class, the snack menu, let's give it a go. And of course, one snack sitting isn't quite enough. With just how incredible the food on Japan Airlines first class has been, I couldn't resist a second snack sitting, this time with curry rice and a little tray of premium simmered Wagyu beef as well. Plus, some more of this premium fancy tea. So we've had the amuse-bouches, we've had the main course, we've had the dessert, we've had the first round of snacks, we have the second round of snacks. Now it's time for the last and final meal of this Japan Airlines first class flight. Another Japanese washoku set menu coming right up.
In all my excitement of eating and drinking on Japan Airlines first class, I hadn't had a chance to take a look at the amenities until now. The kit itself is made by Zero Halliburton and it comes with some basic items inside. but the true premium amenities are served separately shortly after takeoff. Men are given a Shiseido skincare kit, while women are given this set of face masks and lotions by Clé de Peau.
Alright, now even though I didn't really sleep on board this flight, and there's not really enough time left to sleep, I decided to put the seat into lie flat mode anyway, just to show you what it's like. One of the things I do love about Japan Airlines first class is that even though there's minimal privacy here in the seats compared to other first class airlines, it's still extremely wide, extremely spacious. If you're to lie down, you have tons of room to move around. Now, as we're approaching LAX, let's talk about how I actually booked this incredible flight on Japan Airlines first class. The flight normally costs $15,000 to $20,000 one way, but I only paid a fraction of that price. How did I do it? Well, I redeemed 70,000 Alaska Airlines miles for this one-way flight. That's from Tokyo to Los Angeles, and in fact, it's the same price to anywhere in North America. 70,000 Alaska miles might sound like a lot, but you can actually easily earn these miles through the MBNA Alaska credit cards issued in Canada or the Bank of America Alaska credit cards issued in the US. And it's a lot more feasible to earn these miles and then use them for Japan Airlines first class than to, of course, pay $15,000 to $20,000 for this flight. Now, there are some rumors that Alaska might be increasing the fees to book Japan Airlines first class as of late 2022. So if you want to book the same deal that I did and get to experience this luxurious first class product, you might want to act quickly to secure this sweet spot before it potentially goes away.
Pretty soon, we were asked to prepare for our arrival, and I looked outside at the views as we approached LAX. This was a relatively short trans-Pacific flight at only 10 hours, but no less enjoyable than before thanks to the still outstanding food and drink here on Japan Airlines first class.
Now that we've landed in Los Angeles on Japan Airlines first class, you may also be interested in finding out what the experience is like on ANA first class, which is Japan Airlines' rival in Japan. Make sure to watch this video next to see what that flight was like and compare the two experiences, and then let me know in the comments below which one you thought was better.